Howdy my friends, and welcome to the channel today. I'm Luke, Thunderhead289, here on YouTube, and today I have behind me something I've always wanted to own, the fabulous Ford V8, particularly the Flathead V8. Now this is a 51 Ford behind me, has a really nifty grill on it, but anyway, you know, it's sat for about 40 years, everything's locked up. I saved the car from the crusher. You know, they were cleaning out a farm, and I caught it right before it ended up in the salvage yard. Has good glass and everything, and I just couldn't see it go to waste. So I'm hoping that, you know, maybe we'll get something going with the engine, maybe not, I don't know, you know. At least hopefully someone can use some of these parts and pieces. But today we're gonna see what we have and what we don't have, and see if we can get that old Flathead V8 to sing. So with that, let's jump right in. Oh no, it's even worse than I remember it. Check this out. So it was obviously a mouse nest raccoon home for a really long time. All the plug wires are eaten off. I think there's even some mouse patrons down in there still, but it is the good old Flathead 8BA. It has the distributor out the side once Ford realized that it was horrifically annoying to have the distributor in the front. The engine is obviously pretty tight. Check the carb. I was hoping oil bath air filter wouldn't let anything in, but there's a little bit of movement there. Suspicious to say the least. So I think I'm going to have to channel my inner Jennings Motorsports to try and get this running. This is more, maybe I should just call him out here to do this. This is more his type of thing and caliber of debacleville that he likes. So come on. Okay. We'll see what I can do. Is the radiator hose down below is completely eaten up. But anyway, like I said, it's sat for 40 years. It's a pretty decent car. So the story I got on it is it came back from Illinois. See if we can get around here without getting all the poison ivy. Oh, hey, look, the keys. The keys. And they're stuck in there. What do you know? Anyway, it came back from Illinois around 1980, and the guy was planning to restore it. Now that's a pretty long time for one of these old shoebox Fords to run. That's going to be fun to get through. But anyway, you know, I had plans to restore it. He passed away, and then it sat for a really long time, obviously, and now here we are today. So with that, I'm going to see if I can get the transmission in neutral. Hopefully it isn't already, and that's why the engine won't turn. And then we'll just go from there. It's pretty sad to say that I think the raccoons have done a number on this rig. You know, it's got the airflow special seat here going on. Just look at this really nifty, ornate dash. I've always loved this about the shoebox stuff. It's from the era of airplanes, aeronautics. Anyway, before we got into the whole space thing, and so it's kind of modeled after that stuff, you know, different switches and things, just really nifty. Back when they used to actually care about styling, now everything looks like, you know, ugly. So I think it's in neutral, and ooh, I mean, it's pretty sticky. Now I just put it in a gear. Maybe. There we go. Okay. So I think the trans is in neutral. That's pretty suspicious, but I can already tell I'm going to get gonocephalherpelitis level 7 working on this thing. But With that shifter being so sticky, you know, I really can't tell if it's in neutral or not, but I think if I just jack up the rear end and if I can spin the differential, in theory, that should be neutral. Wishful thinking, probably. My old 76 F250 with 190,000 original miles. The 390 FE is unrebuilt in it. It's got a good old 4-speed with a granny low, and I bought that thing for $1,000 back in 2018. Been one heck of a rig. All right, it's tight, you know, probably from the old drum brakes, but suffice it to say, it is in neutral, I do believe. If it was in gear and hooked to the engine, we would not be doing this, I don't think. So that's probably not a good sign. You know, I'm just going to take a little dose of optimism here and say it was in gear before I gave it the old wiggle waggle, and now the engine will be free. Probably wishful thinking, but here's to hoping, I guess. I think the crank just moved, or it's just I broke the corrosion bond here on the fan. Okay. Well, I guess it's time to channel our inner Jennings Motorsports and fill the cylinders with whatever concoction we can possibly think of. I'm trying not to get too mentally invested here because you can see how much work this will take. So there's a little bit of rust on this spark plug, but they all have a little bit of oil on them. So hopefully when the guy brought it home, he poured a bunch of oil in the cylinders when he let it sit. But you know, I've seen a lot worse spark plugs than this. So I'm actually kind of hopeful. I'm just pouring some ATF in here. I've had good luck just using ATF with helping engines to free up here, so fingers crossed with that one. This is, in my opinion, this is kind of sacrilege. I have a lot of respect for the Flathead Ford, and really I should just pull this out of here and try and preserve it as best I can, but I just like doing this stuff too much and seeing how bad something can be and what it can come back from. And I have high hopes from this little Flathead. Such a historical engine. I was just really hoping that these spark plugs would be tight and I wouldn't be able to get them out, because then, you know, I could reason with myself to stop what I'm doing, but instead they are all loosening up pretty okay. I mean, I'm doing this with one hand. It's pretty amazing. I just noticed this nifty little aftermarket guy dangling in here, an electric fuel pump. I've never seen one like that before, so suffice it to say it's pretty old since I'm 1,000 years old myself. So I've poured an excessive amount of ATF into the cylinders there, so hopefully that helps things along. The spark plugs really don't look so bad on when I normally see seized engines, but granted, I've never worked on a flathead before, except for tractors. And, you know, usually on normal, you know, not flathead stuff, overhead valve, the spark plugs look pretty gnarly. So maybe this is just a flathead thing, and it's just a false positive here that things might be okay. You know what? Suffice it to say, it'd be interesting to see what the dipstick looks like. It has oil on it, and it doesn't look watery, so that's good. Oh, look, right at full. Interesting. Stick that right back in there. Maybe not. Oh, man, I just keep laying my arms on all of this stuff. Definitely gonna get a disease here if I'm not careful. That is 40 years of shmoo from animal butts, little mouse butts. I got the I'm not asking, I'm telling bar out here. See if we can move this fan out of the way. Boy, I wish the engine would just turn. I'm somewhat hopeful with the plugs out. Granted, I kind of doubt it. I don't know what size the crank bolt is down here. And on a flathead, it appears to be a massive size. What do you know? Big surprise. Classic Ford move. Well, I can't say that's a particularly good sign. I'm a pretty heavy guy. I weigh like 2 million pounds here, and that's all my weight on the crank. I was afraid I might actually, thank goodness it's a big old Ford crank bolt. If that was a 350 Chevy, I definitely would have been snapping that bad boy off with that much force. So, I don't know. Help me, Jennings Motorsports. I'm going to have to, I don't know the guy's name. I'm going to call him Chet, you know, because no one's name is ever Chet. And when I don't know someone's name, that's what my brain screams. So, Chet from Jennings Motorsports. I'm going to go watch a few of his videos and see what he does to unstick these and see if I can glean some knowledge.
Stay till this point, thank you, because we've been working on this thing all day. And we just about got it loose, so I think we're going to get her running. So if you're still here, leave a comment or something. There we go. She's turning now. She's still pretty tight though, I mean.
Now this is generally where I say enough is enough. You know, you keep trying, you can damage something that's an otherwise rebuildable core. And that's a big maybe here. But I have seen people use a breaker bar with a jack handle and a ratchet strap, and then just letting that sit with oil in it for a few days. When I say people, I mean Chet from Jennings Motorsports. So anyway, that's kind of my last ditch effort here to see if we can make something happen. It'll probably either move or break something. Oh boy, this feels so stupid. So I can't really get it any tighter. I'm kind of suspicious I'm starting to tighten the, maybe another click, tighten the crank bolt. Just gonna let it be, hold tension on the crank. It's starting to buckle the frame member there where I have it attached. So I think, I hate to say that as of, I was today years old when I saw someone do this online and it actually worked. So I'd never believe it if I didn't see it. So we're just gonna let it sit and, you know, hopefully something positive happens. We don't just snap a bolt or snap the crank or God knows what else. You know, I'm just not all too convinced that this carb in here is seized up. Usually these oil bath air filters are a really nice deterrent for moisture and everything getting to the carb. Granted, it's got some snapped off vacuum lines in there. Ouch, which is never good. Always hitting my hood on heads or head on hoods. But, you know, just coming down here and fooling with the linkage. I can't tell, you know, it's suffice it to say the actual gas pedal might be seized in there. Definitely going to need to break my rule of showering once a week whether I need it or not. I think we're just going to bend the linkage trying to do that. God. Busted the little clippy-do off here that holds the throttle in place, and that is not a good sign. Looks like our gas pedal actually works. So that probably means our old friend Mr. Carby is in fact good and seized. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and take that off, which isn't all bad. We can put some lubricant down in the intake. It's just not a big surprise. Here's where the exhaust rotted off, you know, pretty close to the engine. So the moisture just has a way of working its way up to everything. But I'm surprised with the carb, you know. I thought the oil bath would save it, but apparently not. Well, that's totally not what I expected to see. Looks like the day it rolled off the showroom floor, so, and it literally just moved. So it must be, flip this thing around here. This must be the accelerator pump lever here, kind of on the throttle shaft, and it's probably good and seized up. But the good thing is it's not full of rust. Obviously we knew we'd have to rebuild the carburetor, or at least put some new gaskets and different things in it, which I think we'll do, but that's super encouraging. I was really hoping to use the original one that says Ford USA right on the side, and it looks like we'll be able to. But that's what I always thought, man. Oil bath air filters, you just rarely ever have a bad carb if the air filter still has oil in it. Just to show you what I'm talking about here is that little plunger. You can see the clean part protruding now that hasn't been exposed to the outside for 40 years, and see it's jammed up again. So there's something going on with this thing, but I think it's a very rebuildable core. Just a really nifty little 2-barrel. I've never had one of these at my disposal, so that's kind of exciting. Normally I would feel bad about what I'm doing right now, but suffice it to say, it might be a reasonable thing to do. This thing's locked up tighter than Fort Knox, as you can see, so probably every little bit helps. And that's a lot of bit. Well, all right, my friends, I think, unfortunately, the clock has struck midnight on our Cinderella story here. Hopefully not, but that thing is locked up pretty darn good. Now, if you have any ideas or things I could do to maybe expedite this process or make this at all possible, usually at this point I call it and I stop and I say, okay, you know, it doesn't have a fighting chance, but this carb was really encouraging. I don't know if I'm excited or disappointed, but ladies, gentlemen, germs, rodents, and Chet. Can I just hold the camera steady for once? Chet from Jennings Motorsports. If you look back there, I've been coming out here, you know, every day after work and just hoping that I would see it move, but it looks like the jack handle slid down and the ratchet strap is loose. Now it's been raining a lot here and windy, so hard to say, but oh boy, I got my shorts on here and boots, so I wasn't even planning to do anything, but I just gotta see if it'll move. Oh, just dropped it down in all the schmoo. Let's just, ow, get this assembly out of here. I came out and actually hit on it with this post hole driver a few times to no avail. Or maybe, how am I gonna get that out of there? I gotta go, oh, rocks on my knees. Gross. Get down in here nice and deep like. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the crank does have a little bit of motion to it. The water pumps are both moving, and so is the generator, so probably could have taken the, slide this out of the way. Probably could have taken the fan belt off. It's actually, check that out. It's like it's tight in just one spot, so probably one cylinder that, look at that, it's moving. Oh boy. If I can get it past this one tight spot, I'm real close to making a full rotation here. Look at that. You can move it with the fan. It's right there. Something. Some of the valves are working. Listen to that. Or that's grinding in the cylinder. I have those spark plugs just sitting in there, so it's not like they're sealed. So dang. Other way we go. Oh, now I really got it stuck. Is that a full rotation? How did that thing? Fan blades are just pretty sharp. Okay, let me take a breather. I think, ow, man alive. I think it's made a full rotation at this point. Well, it's got compression on at least one cylinder. Who knows if the valves are moving? Ooh, that's some pretty solid compression noises. That is definitely, we've definitely made a full rotation now. Ooh, that's the good stuff. Dang it, I almost wanted to be done, but I think we're gonna be at it again. Oh boy, well, that's pretty encouraging. Now I'm gonna have to find some time here to carve out a moment and hit this thing again, because it's showing signs that it might actually want to do something, which is pretty darn exciting. So I'll see you guys for the next one.